Hey, what's up guys and gals? My name is Rick9G. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about Three's Company. Now in this video, I'm going to be telling you how you can win your very own free DVD with the entire season 1 episodes. So make sure to watch the entire video to see how you can win. Now I kind of hesitated to make this video for obvious reasons, as you can see in the title of this video, but I asked many people, including my family and even some fans of the channel, and they said, Rick, absolutely do it. So I'm so happy to bring you this episode and more at the end, because I think it's very important to see what the actor himself, John Ritter, had to say before he passed away, and he was very aware of this moment in retrospect. So let's take a look at it. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of it, we have to see the background information, and the episode itself comes from season 8 of Three's Company, episode 11, or if we look at the entire series, episode 161. It's called The Charming Stranger. Now, in this one, the girls fall head over heels over this handsome Englishman who moves into the building. However, Jack becomes convinced that there's something wrong and that he's one of London's most wanted criminals. Now, in this episode, there's a quick scene where Jack goes into his room to change. Now, he sits on his bed and takes off his shoes, and the camera gets a view of something that it wasn't supposed to get. Now, this episode premiered and was aired in 1983, before we had any things like freeze frames and DVDs and so forth. So it actually wasn't until the year 2001 that someone's spotted this. Now, this is very important because it was actually brought to the attention of John Ritter himself that yes, he accidentally exposed himself during the filming of an episode of Three's Company. Now, what's really crazy is that no one caught it throughout this own time. Now, many people have even mentioned, well, is this fake? Is this an urban legend? Well, he actually acknowledged it himself in a skit that he did with Conan O'Brien. It was called Secrets, and I have a little bit of audio for you so that you can see how he completely acknowledges it. Not only that, but he makes a joke out of it as well.
Apparently there's this new scandal about how you can see my scrotum hanging out of my blue boxer shorts for a split second on episode 161 of Three's Company. Someone asked me if maybe I did that on purpose. You bet I did.
Now, I mean, that's amazing because it comes out of the mouth of John Ritter himself. He pokes fun at it. He pokes fun at himself, which I think is amazing. It's humbling. I'm going to get into that in just a little bit. But yes, according to him, yes, John Ritter's testicle, one of them, was briefly visible during an episode of Three's Company. Now, this was previously reported by a columnist back at that time. And the columnist said, Jack was dressed in blue boxers and plopped down on the bed and exposed some things that probably shouldn't be seen on television. They were shocked and said, gosh, you were right. They were taken off guard because this has probably aired hundreds of times since the 80s. Now, the story doesn't stop here because Three's Company was also aired on Nickelodeon. That was a kids show. And for close to 20 years, this scene was shown throughout the episode because no one really caught it. Now, Nickelodeon itself never identified the specific episode involved. There were other accounts who kind of narrowed it down, and people started talking, gossiping, and so forth, and they specifically named it later on. That is, people who found out about it from this episode, The Charming Stranger. Now, I know some people may be skeptical because it is so brief, it is instantaneous, and I'll talk a little bit more in a little bit about what else John Ritter said and why they keep airing it sometimes and not other times. Nickelodeon actually said, and I quote, by confirming, yes, his scrotum falls out of his shorts. Now, John Ritter also explained why this went unnoticed for so long by acknowledging that it was only a brief shot and only lasted about a second. No one back then noticed, and when it went out over the air, there were no VHS recorders or DVD players around that time that could catch it. Then very recently, some guy with the freeze frame caught the image when pausing the recording, so then they called Nick at Night. Now, Nickelodeon wasn't the only one who said something about this. The people at Fremantle Media, who actually distribute Three's Company and other programs as well, they confirmed that this happened as well by saying, quote, "We have viewed the episode in question in search of the aforementioned fallout, and we're disappointed to say that having viewed the scene in question, there's very little to write home about. There is a nanosecond where certain flesh is flashed, but not so much that you would really notice, unless you were really looking out for it specifically." Now, one of my favorite things of John Ritter was just how well he was and how great he was on screen, but off screen as well. Like I said, he's so humble. He acknowledged this moment. He could have denied it. He could have not answered anything about it, but he had a very cool quote that I have to put in here because I think it sums him up perfectly. He said to the New York Observer, "I've requested that Nickelodeon air both versions, edited and unedited. Why? Because sometimes you feel like a nut and sometimes you don't." End quote. Oh my goodness, guys and gals. I think this is simply amazing. If we would have just an inch, the little bit of humility that John Ritter had knowing this, I think we could go a long way. And that's why I wanted to post this. So I also wanted to acknowledge that I have made over 1,400 videos in my library of YouTube. And let me tell you, many of them have bloopers, mistakes, times where I mess up, and it's very easy for me to edit them out. But sometimes I just keep them in there because it's kind of cool. It leaves to the idea that I'm having almost a conversation with you. It's very kind of on the spot, and I'm not reading from a script. I think it's great to leave those moments in there, not give the impression that I'm perfect or anything like that, but to show that, hey, this is very calm, casual, and a nice conversation like this. So I hope you like this video, guys and gals. I hope you really learned something about John Ritter. Like I said, this is kind of a fun and really kind of crazy story, but I think my role was trying to highlight John Ritter and his response to it, which I think was golden, monumental, and really speaks to his character as a person. Now, we know a lot of you want to know how to win the DVD for season 1. As I mentioned, it's absolutely free. It has all the episodes from season 1. It actually was really hard to find, believe it or not. Three's Company is not that easily available anymore on DVD, but I hunted for you and I was able to get it. All you have to do is be a subscriber. If you're already there, then you are pretty much one step closer to winning the DVD. It's absolutely free, as I mentioned, as well as hit that like, thumbs up button. Those are the two things you have to do, and leave a comment down below with the words John Ritter in it and any comment that you'd like. And then lastly, there's a link in the description of this video that you need to click on. It'll take you to an information panel where you just give me a little bit of information so that I can send out your DVD when I choose the winner. That's it for this video, guys and gals. Thank you so much for supporting the work that I do, and most importantly, be hopeful. Thank you so much to all my supporters on Patreon, especially my Diamond tier patrons: Tommy G, Citizen Kane 359, Grace U, Sally N, David D, and Ricky. You can find exclusive content on Patreon at different tiers. Go ahead and check it out, and thank you so much.